In this lesson, we're going to review some of the features in this section. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open, and in the Sample Files folder, scroll down to 0711, Setting Up a Newsletter page, and just click Open. Why don't we start by making the headline for our first story go right across the 3 columns. We'll just click in our headline. Being that it's paragraph formatting, our formatting will apply to the entire paragraph. I'm going to go under the Options menu of the Paragraph panel to Span Columns. For the paragraph layout, I'm going to click on the pop-up and choose Span Columns and just click OK. If nothing happens, make sure to check Preview. Now, I want to apply the same formatting to my second headline. But before I do, let me center that headline. If I was working on an actual newsletter project, I would save my headline as a headline paragraph style. And all of the formatting that I would do of various kinds, I would save as separate paragraph styles. It makes the whole process a lot faster, because if I wanted to make this headline exactly the same as my first headline, I'd have to remember everything I did. And I'm not going to have just 2 headlines in a newsletter. It could be a dozen or 2 dozen. So let me first center this second headline and go under my Options menu of the Paragraph panel to Span Columns. And hopefully I'll remember everything I did. For paragraph layout, I know that I spanned columns. Did I apply space before or space after span? I don't think so. I'm just going to click OK. If I had a paragraph style, I wouldn't have to ask that question. Let me select all of the text in my first story except for my headline. I'm going to apply in the lower right-hand corner of the paragraph panel a line to baseline grid. And you can see now all of the lines are aligning going across the page. Let me do the same thing with the body copy text of the second story. I'm just going to click Align to Baseline Grid. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Why don't we go to our Zoom tool and just click and drag across just the left-hand page to blow up the page so we can see it a little bit more easily. I'm going to go back to my Type tool and just click in what is going to become a pull quote. First, I'm going to center that pull quote. And now I'm going to add a rule above and a rule below. So I'm going to go under the Options menu of the Paragraph panel to Paragraph Rules. I'm going to start with Rule Above. And I'm going to check Rule On. If nothing happens, make sure to check Preview. Now, I want my rule above to be above my paragraph, so I'm going to have to offset it. As a rule above, if I use a positive offset, it's going to move it further above. That looks good. Now let me do a rule below. This, I'm going to have to first check rule on, and then I'm going to offset it. But offsetting a rule below, a positive number moves it further below. So I'm hitting my up arrow, which moves the rule down. I'm going to click OK. Now, normally, if I did a pull quote, I'm going to save it as a paragraph style to make it easy to apply in other places in my newsletter, because it's very complex formatting to try to remember. So instead, what I'm going to do here is just select my pull quote, go to my eyedropper tool, and just click on one of those selected characters. And now scroll down my page. And in the first column of the second story, you can see there's a single line paragraph. I want to go to the left of that and then click and drag across it to apply my pull quote formatting. The next thing I want to do is create a numbered list from these 5 paragraphs under the subhead that says by the numbers. So I'm going to go back to my Type tool. And I'm just going to scroll over a little bit so we can see all of those paragraphs. And I'm going to select the paragraphs that I want to format. Now, to give myself a head start, I'm going to make sure that I'm in the paragraph formatting controls in my control panel, and then click on the numbered list button to give me a head start. So I already have my numbers. Now I just have to do some customization. So to get to the options window, I'm going to hold down my Option key on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and just click on that numbered list button to open the bullets and numbering dialog window. Now, for a character style, I want to apply a character style to the numbers. And I already have that character style. It is called bold purple numbers. And you can see that it did apply it to just the numbers. They are now bold and purple. But I want my numbers to be closer to the indented text of my numbering. So what I'm going to do is the first line indent, I want that to be a smaller negative number. In other words, I want it closer to 0. So I have to click my up arrow, and you can see the numbers move in closer to the indented text. But I really wanted my numbers to move back towards the left side of my column. So I'm going to make the left indent less by clicking my down arrow. You can see that the two numbers are now the same, except the first line indent has a minus sign in front of it. Anytime you have two numbers the same and the first line indent is negative, your numbers or bullets will be sitting right up against the left side of your column. Let me click OK. One last thing I want to do. Let me just scroll down a little bit here, and you can see that I have a caption. Well, I actually want to go to my selection tool and drag my caption into the left column on the other side of the picture. So I'm just going to click on it and drag it, and it should snap right into position because of Smart Guides. Now there's a problem. My caption is not aligned towards my picture. So it's not obvious that this caption is for this picture to its right. So I want to, with that frame selected, click Align Right. And now the text is aligned towards the picture, so it's really obvious that that text is the caption for the picture to its right. Why don't I just fit my window now? I'm going to go under my View menu to Fit Page in Window. And now I'm going to click off of everything and just hit my W key to go into Preview. It has that nice clean magazine look with all the lines aligning perfectly across the page. In the next lesson, we're going to discuss text frame options.